Welcome to the Founders Chat, where I talk with founders about the hidden moments behind building their companies. I am Alan, former Google engineer, serial entrepreneur, and somebody who knows firsthand how messy building companies can be. Today we have Javier Martinez, co-founder and COO of Argonauts. Welcome, Javier.
Happy to be here, Alan. Thank you for having me.
All right, so maybe we can start with the simple question. What is Argonauts?
Right. So Argonauts is a startup that me and my co-founder and business partner Javier Toral have. We started this venture in 2023 after having a creative communication agency. It was called Spectre. So this is kind of like our second venture together. And we decided to create a platform for connecting visitors at destinations, travelers, with local and authentic cultural institutions that are in those destinations so that people can access to the invisible layers of the city as they explore and learn.
Okay, is this something like Airbnb experiences?
Yeah, I would say we do get some stuff from Airbnb experiences as well as with Locals, which is another startup that does this local first approach, which we think is super interesting. We put a twist on that through both a digital experience so that you don't depend on a host at the destination, so you can be an independent solo traveler. You don't need to wait for a specific time. It's kind of like trying to solve all the problems of free tours, where you basically don't have any freedom at all when traveling. And we identified that is something that we really want, just like be able to drop in the city and connect with things through hyper personalization that we know we're gonna like, and just be free traveling around and exploring.
Okay, that's amazing. And before Argonauts, you mentioned you had a different venture with your co-founder as well.
Yep. Spectre. So Spectre was mainly like a creative communication agency but we focused on using technology to deliver higher quality experiences for clients that want to do marketing or connect their brand with their clients and all of that. So we did a focus on installations, immersive experiences. So yeah, kind of like taking it further from a creative agency more to like a technological creative agency.
Okay, so basically the business before was more like a consultancy company, and now it's a product company, right?
Yeah. I would say so. The first one was very much like an agency. We would get like briefs from clients and then, craft experiences for them and deliver them on a, project in, project out basis. Well, now we've been building the product for like 2 years, more on a startup way of doing things. So yeah, very different. Those two approaches.
Okay, and when did you know you found product market fit?
Well, validation is something that I think it's not binary and it's very much a process. We're still getting product market fit. I think the first cultural institution, like big cultural institution that already saw value in what we were trying to deliver, which was Real Fábrica de Tapices, a royal tapestry factory in Spain, one of it's like a century years old institution there. That sort of validated us, and that also as well opened the door in several other institutions. It's really hard to get that first client, but yeah, I think that was the tipping point that we started to see how we were actually adding value to these institutions.
I asked this question because it's always different and the perceptions are different. Sometimes you feel a product market fit at a different moment than your co-founder, right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
And I'm going to ask you a question. Is there something about your early story that most people don't know?
Other than our previous venture, both Javi, my co-founder, and I, we come from TV and movies background. I majored in film studies, and Javi has been working on TV, on VFX and composition for a pretty long time before we started entrepreneuring ourselves, which I think also gives us like a very unique perspective on how we tell our stories and how we deliver something that is unique and crafts value for these institutions. Meaning that we're somewhat technical, right? Because I moved from movies to video games and technology and all of that, but we are very much in the like at the core, we're very much storytellers. And I think that's a very valuable skill to have. And not, I think like maybe not as many people in the tech spectrum pay a lot of attention to storytelling.
Yeah, that's something I'm learning the hard way. I come from engineering background, and now I'm starting to realize that how you tell the story makes a total difference.
Yeah, we believe so.
Yeah. So about Argonauts, how was the idea created?
Well, so this it kind of became like a spin-off from inside of Spectre, because we were like taking on more technological roles and more technological projects, also learning also to work with other kinds of engineers that we weren't used to. And this idea of reconnecting people with culture and heritage on a digitalized world, and also the lack of authenticity when we travel. We're both avid travelers, and we like to go around everywhere. And we saw that gap. We saw that problem right there. Also, COVID hit, and a lot of people were like dialing in and creating more like content to be consumed from your own home. And we kind of saw it the other way. We saw that as soon as restrictions get lifted up, people are going to travel a lot more than they used to. And so far, it's been proven like that. We're already above pre-COVID numbers. Yeah, I would say it was a combination of those things, and we were like, okay, let's do it. We obviously iterated a lot. This wasn't going to be like this kind of a platform at first. But yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because usually there are a lot of pivots at the beginning. So what was the biggest inflection point where you had to go in a complete different direction, or at least a different direction?
The very first one, which was right pre-COVID, and we were already thinking about creating this platform. This was going to be an all digital platform that you could just play content from home, but connecting with cultural institutions. And the biggest pivot there was, we gotta go mobile, make it super accessible, and also make it geo-referenced. So wherever you travel, you have like this companion that knows you really well and can explain your surroundings or your city environment to you on those different layers that you can access.
Okay, and now that you explain about you have the app and you explore the surroundings, you are using some kind of augmented reality.
We do have augmented reality integrations. We're multimedia, so we have all sorts of content. We have audio, video, text, image, augmented reality, and also working on a gamification layer, which also acts sort of as a content layer. But yeah, we do. I would think that is not like our crazy technological edge. I think that's more the approach that we did to our knowledge base, to our database, which is quite unusual. So we opted for a graph-based database instead of a relational database, which we felt that could help us making those connections, those semantical connections between different places that you've visited, and craft like a narrative that kind of like brings those together. So that's kind of like our main technological focus. Not as much as AR, but we are happy to integrate, and we've done it in the past. It's cool for like archaeological reconstructions. Having maybe like a historical character talk to you and explain something about that part of town or whatever. So I mean, it's flashy and we like it, but we also live on multimedia and different sorts of content.
Okay, so just to understand if I get it right, I install your app, I go to visit a new city, and then I can see points of interest, right?
That is right.
And I go there and I can read more about the history and
So
cultural
that is
events.
right. That is right. So the full loop there would be that you go to a city and you can opt to visit either like itineraries that are crafted that make sense in a certain direction or amount of time. You can craft your own itinerary, like making like okay, I got like 30 minutes and I'm tired, so don't give me like too much text, or don't give me too much audio, not too much information. It's kind of like a caffeine level kind of thing. And also this gets connected to this cultural local institution. So for instance, I'm a history geek and I love it. If I go to a different city or actually to downtown Madrid because it works for locals as well. My cultural DNA that lives inside of the app as my profile already crafts this in a way that is going to be interesting to me, maybe not necessarily to you.
That's amazing. Personalized kind of
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
tourist guide in everywhere.
It's
Okay.
like having a really good friend that knows you really well on a place that you're visiting.
All right. So now I'm going to ask you a more personal question.
Okay, let's go.
How does a regular day in your calendar looks like from when you wake up?
Okay. Did you mean like literal routine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a super early bird. I'm usually up around 7:30, 8. First thing I do, go take my dog out for a walk. Trying to get back into exercising. So like at least 3 days a week. I try to work out before having breakfast, then jump in, emails. Usually that's the first thing in the morning. Knock off the most important and urgent or things that I haven't answered the previous day. And then I usually, it depends a lot because there's no two same days in this crazy world. But it could be either calls with clients or with potential clients. That's usually up until 11, which is when we have our daily, because we work on a semi-agile project management way. So we usually have that daily Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. We touch base with everyone in the team. And then, usually it's filled with different calls of potential partnerships. We need to fill in this form for an open call or for this grant from the ministry, or, also a lot of content supervision that I do as well as helping, our current clients to upload their content and deal with formatting and all of that. Maybe some design meetings as well. That's usually like maybe once or twice a week. And then also again, like there's weeks where I'm just traveling and there's like events and there's like, I got to go visit this client and trying to meet this town hall or whatever. So it's kind of like hard to say, like there's like
hard to get bored.
Yeah, definitely. That is the one thing that I don't get to do. And I try to be done working by 7-ish, 8, the latest. If I can like stop and relax at 7, I'm already to have it. Because like they're usually very intense days. So there's a point where I'm not being that productive. I can do like menial tasks. That's okay. Like I can, receipts and stuff like that. But like 7 is kind of like my top for having something important. Unless there's an event, of course, which then again, it goes on and on and on forever.
Yeah, I think last week a founder from America told me, if you wake up 7:30 in Spain, it's like 5:30 in America. Like we live at a different 2 hours 15.
Yeah, I'm not a super early person, but I'm also not a great sleeper. So I wake up pretty easily in the morning. So it's just like up and going. But yeah, it's fun. I gotta say that's been pretty much the same for my whole life. And before, when I was working the movies, it's a completely different thing. Like you're up by 4 or 5 in the morning and you get home by like 10, 11. They're like 14, 15-hour shifts. And it's, that's a hard life. Let me tell you that. Yeah, you can't do that forever.
Yeah, I think something in common we all founders have is that we put in a lot of hours. And then when it comes to work-life balance, it's more, if we work more hours, we become non-efficient. So it doesn't make sense. And I think we all have experienced like crazy weeks, but then in general, we need to balance, at least with sports, stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I've learned over the course of like these 2.5 years to take the day that you don't have much going on, take it. Just be happy that that's going to happen because you don't know next week how it's going to look like. And it may be hell, So it's probably worth it if you get like, wait, I've got nothing this evening. Okay, sounds good. I'll actually do nothing, A lot of people really push like that super try hard mentality of, like be up by 5, take a cold shower and meditation and then sports and blah, blah. And it's like, no, I worked like 16 hours on my startup. And it's like, well, are they quality time? Like, are they actually worth it, the time that you're putting in? Or are you kind of like just like being dragged along whatever your startup is doing, I don't know. different approaches, I guess.
I am a bit like that, but I have some quality time. I'm like that in the mornings. I need the routine. I need to start. I need to do sport. And then the rest of the day, if I can finish early one day, I do, because the day after, it can be a mess.
You never know. You never know when that's the next day that you're actually going to get, for having a free evening. So you probably should take it.
Where do you get your motivation from?
Okay. Well, a huge part of that is from my team, actually. I think, just knowing that these people are, putting in a ton of work and really great quality work and the best they got. So it's kind of like I gotta match that all the time, even if even go further than they are. It's my responsibility, as well as my responsibility towards our investors, to make sure that they get the most out of every drop of trust that they've put into us. So those two. Also, it's really helpful to work in an industry, or more than an industry, more like on a field that we're familiar with, that we're passionate about. So if I was doing electrical cars, it'll probably be harder for me to find that motivation. Not that interested in that. But culture and heritage and arts and history, all of those things, it's actually amazing to go talk to any of our clients, because it's like you can spend the whole day with them. If you could, you would spend the whole day with them, because they're as passionate as you are about their work. So that really gets us going a lot of times. Yeah.
So
I think
definitely doing something you love helps.
Yes, of course, absolutely. It's not everything, of course, but yeah, that's a huge part for me.
Great. So we can discuss a bit of technical details. You mentioned you're comfortable speaking about that. And before you were mentioning that you're focusing now on using specific databases to support
That is right.
product needs now, right? So lessons you learned, like about choosing the technical stack or over engineering, technical debt.
Right. Lessons on that. Well, from the very first moment that we decided to go ahead and develop this product, once we had raised, we did a small prototype, and then we raised our first fundraising, which was in 2023. And we decided we're going to develop this, and we knew that we wanted to have people in house to be able to have some control over the product. The resources that we had at that moment in time, also as the connections that we had at that moment in time, left us with a small team that were in-house, and we were hiring an outsourcing company to speed up the development of the MVP. And this, of course, because we didn't have a CTO back then. Our CTO came into the company in mid 2024, and obviously that MVP had some legacy issues that the CTO wanted to switch around. So that's the biggest technical debt we've had, because the new approach, the graph-based database approach, really clashed with the hexagonal development that we did for the MVP. So yeah, that we had to turn that around. We thought it was very much worth it, looking at how the user experience was going to be further down the road. So it just made sense. But that obviously you slowed down development. But yeah, I think that's the biggest one with that we had.
Yeah, and something I usually recommend is hiring at least a fractional CTO, or at least a couple of hours per week, because technical teams, engineers, are probably the most expensive thing in an early stage startup, because you are developing a product from scratch. You need engineers, right? And if they get it wrong, then it's super expensive. But maybe, I don't know, in that case, technical debt is not necessarily bad, because you need to build fast, validate. But yes, at some point, you need to stop and you need to address that and make things more scalable. So you're at this point.
Right. And also because considering the user experience that we were aiming for, it made a lot more sense to use the other approach, which we didn't know back then. It's also like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a new technology, but it's not used that often, and it's not like a straightforward to think, okay, we're gonna do this at least if you're not like an engineer who actually knows a lot about this, which we're not engineers. I mean, we do understand digital products and development because we've done it in the past in other sort of digital products like video games, interactive products, and all of that. But it's quite different to also like build a mobile app. Also, the decision of making it an app instead of a web app, that's something also that had some implications to our development team.
So, thinking about the future, is there a trend you think most people are underestimating?
Like a technological trend, or on our sector?
In general, it can be in your sector, it can be a technological trend.
Okay. Regarding traveling and cultural exploration, I think there's an increasing amount of people that they're rejecting traditional ways of traveling due to how that is absolutely like massified and overexploited. Just look at Venice, Venezia, Barcelona, Paris. These cities are having a huge problems dealing with the massive amounts of people that go in, and people are starting to want something that is a little bit more personalized, a lot more connection to the actual destination, and not just a pre-made package where you just like herded around like sheep and you go visiting all this super touristy stuff. So that we have noticed, that has also been successfully studied and made into statistics, and that is a trend that is going forward. I don't think a lot of people are, other than maybe Airbnb experiences or with locals, are actually taking this into account and how important the local ecosystem is for sustainable tourism. And yeah, also Condé Nast Traveler also did a good article on this. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest one in the travel sector. Also, the people are demanding more cultural connection where they travel to. They want to actually dive into that destination. Regarding tech, I think it can't be said that it's being underestimated, but there's a lot of stuff in the AI realm that is still going crazy fast. For instance, like I come from the interactive, digital product, like 3D based, like virtual reality, all these things, and like the tools that are coming out are insane. I think this translates into huge changes in how people work and how many people are necessary to craft a digital product that would, back 3 years ago, it's not even that much. Back 3 years ago, it could be maybe double the price. Ballpark estimate, you can do this with just like maybe 2 people instead of 5 that we needed back then. So yeah,
Building from scratch is definitely different now than 3 years ago. I was shocked because I was like 2 years and a half in a big company. I kind of disconnected from the trends and the tools and technology. And now coming back, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, pretty wild.
A comment about where the travel industry is going. I never stopped to think about it. But now that you mention it, I think that trend of looking for more immersive or personalized experience probably started with Airbnb, because I remember in the past, when I was a kid, I used to go on holidays with my parents. Hotels were the only option, right? And then with Airbnb, you could rent an apartment, right?
Right.
And now if you go to booking.com, you can find like I think more than 50% of the choices are apartments. It's like people choose that. People prefer to go there, go to the supermarket, give a little bit of the local experience.
That is right. Arguably, so the thing is, there's a lot of implications with what how the paradigm changed with Airbnb, and we're seeing that now in big cities where people are forced to be moved out of houses that have been living forever because they're tenants. They want to turn that into a touristic apartment. There's been not enough regulations regarding this. There's a lot of touristic flats or apartments without a license. So we got kind of like the worst of both worlds. So the lack of controlling on a tech company that has a revolutionary product that makes some people earn some extra income on the side while providing like a valuable experience for visitors. But then again, downside of this is like, okay, how is this shaping our cities? Are they becoming amusement parks? So there's a balance there. Our approach here is that using this graph knowledge base with the right personalization, we can move people out of the overcrowded places, take them to places that they connect more with, and redistribute this flow of travelers as well as where they stay. So, like, for instance, if I am in Madrid, but I'm a contemporary art enthusiast, if I can make me as a user go spend it in maybe Usera or Carabanchel, which are also being very much put under pressure by rents and apartments and all of that. But to find a balance there, with a huge quantity and quality of data, we think it's possible to redistribute and make everyone, have the benefits of tourism, but without the downfalls.
That could be amazing to have a balance. I think it could be better for everybody, for the tourists, for the locals.
Of course, yeah. That's the approach.
Great. And how do you define success?
I would say, well, for once, I think you can feel successful if you wake up in the morning and you go do something that you're, motivated to do, that you're interested in, that you're stimulated and all of that. It's a very different answer for our investors, for instance. So maybe for our investors, a success is a 50x or whatever it is. And that's what we aim for constantly, to make it economically successful, but also personally satisfying. Meanwhile, we have a purpose as well as a company. Like, our vision is to be able to help people connect with culture and with what they are, what makes them what they are, their identity, and how they're how it was shaped through culture and history and heritage. So if we are able to have people visit a place and actually connect at a deeper level, and that makes them, want to learn and connect more and respect the destinations and take care of the destinations and become better travelers, or better people in general, that's success. So that's kind of like in our vision, doing this transforming experience for visitors.
So to summarize, like, personally for you, is waking up and doing something you're motivated to do and happy to do. And from a business standpoint, basically is to achieve the mission that is improving travelers' experiences.
Yeah, making a transformative experience for travelers, have them connect at deeper levels with what they are a part of, which is like our cultural heritage.
Cool. And now, if a 22 years old you goes to your office and you can have a chat, what advice would you give him?
22 years old, I would tell him two things. One, stay humble, because you never know, and that is the truth. You never know when being humble has been the best decision that you've ever made. So stay humble, and make sure to walk around with your eyes wide open, listening to everyone and learning as much as you can from everyone that you're going to cross paths with. The second one would be, make sure that while you're being humble, you don't lose yourself and you don't change the way you think and the way you are, unless that's what you want to do, of course. But like, be humble, but stay true to what you believe and what you think. That would be my dual advice for 22-year-old. And also to quit the movies as soon as possible. That life is terrible. Probably that would be the third one. Just like, find something else, dude. You're miserable here.
Like, you're not the first movie maker that is telling me this. I thought it's crazy. I thought it was an amazing industry to work.
Not surprised, man.
And I'm speaking about somebody that is great and had
Right.
success, in that industry.
Right. I had moderate success, I made great friends, and I did some works that I was really proud of, but it was incompatible with how I wanted to live my life. So that's something that you gotta decide at some point too.
Yeah. And the being humble one is something that a lot of founders say this one. And I think to be a founder, you need to have a lot of pride and self confidence, and that might be kind of a bit incompatible with being humble.
That's right.
But we need to find the balance. I guess.
You're totally right. You're totally right, and also like this is one of these things that you're basically out on a limb, being super crazy about this idea, this pipe dream that you have. If if you listen too much to other people saying you're absolutely crazy, this is not going to work, you'll never make it. You got to be a little crazy, which I think is kind of what I mean with this second thing. It's like, okay, be humble. Listen to the people that know more than you. That's the best thing you can do. But also, if you really believe in this, you got to do it. You can't live other people's lives. You got to live yours.
And it's not even not listening too much to people. It's not thinking too much, because you can always find like potential problems.
Absolutely. Yes.
So if there is one thing you wish you knew before starting Argonauts, what could it be?
I think it probably would have been. I think I wish I had talked to more people who were creating a technological startup before I dived in. I think it would have saved me lots of headaches down the road. If I had known a community like Tetuan Valley, for instance, I think I would have known behind which doors there's a fire and not having to figure it out by actually burning my hand trying to open the door. So I wish I had talked to a lot more people. I did talk to some, but I didn't know as many people who are entrepreneurs and doing this thing, and that we come from a very traditional we came from a traditional sector, even though it was somewhat technological, but it was an agency. You know other agencies, cameramen, and graphics designers, but not someone who is like, whoa, okay, how do we start this?
I think the startup ecosystem is completely different from anything corporate. Even, I was working Google before, but before Google, I was a CTO of startup in Barcelona. But in Google, being a top technological company, you don't have a clue on how to start something from scratch.
Right.
You're a small part of a big machinery doing something specific there. And so I can't imagine being part of a complete different industry like the movie industry.
Yeah, no, absolutely different. So I wish I had talked to some of the great entrepreneurs that I've met over the last 2.5 years or 3 years. It would have been super helpful, like on the very early stages of our, us designing this product. That's why also we talk to everyone who wants to talk to us all the time. So like, this happens to you, of course. Hey, my cousin is going to build an app. Do you mind talking to him? It's like, yeah, please do, and have him book me a coffee and tell me all his pipe dreams and stories and all of that. Because I think you have to give back to, like, kind of like people gave to you. You have to give back all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I do the same. And I think we learn, I think it's kind of related with being humble as well. Relations in these ventures are the most important thing
That
you
is
get to keep.
correct. Absolutely. The connections that you make and the people you meet, and not even only the people who can introduce you to someone or to this investor. Not the people that you can actually go talk to about this problem that you have, and they're just gonna listen and say, you know what, my advice would be this.
Yeah.
Networking is good and all, but like also having a community is far more important in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely. So if you can send a message to your customers now, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that I hope they're having a great summer. Well, this is going to be in September, so I tell them, welcome to the beginning of the year. We can't wait to see how we can keep working with you guys, and there's a lot more coming our way. So really excited to show you how the product is evolving and the rest of the things that we can design and do and build together.
Amazing. And what about investors? Message to investors.
Message to investors. To the ones that are already in, we are working really hard to make every penny of your money worth and to give you back. And thank you for the support and also for the help that you guys bring us, because it's huge. And to the ones who are not in there yet, let's have a coffee and let me tell you about my story.
What is your superpower as a founder?
I think my superpower as a founder is empathy. Being able to understand my counterparts' needs, fears, concerns, whether it's an investor, whether it's a teammate, whether it's a client or my co-founder, to be able to really understand how they're feeling about whatever issue may arise, or ideas or projects or plans or whatever, to be able to identify that and work my communication from that empathy. I think it's very misrepresented in this industry. People want to play being like this badass shark investor or entrepreneur that has it all figured out and kind of like walks over people and all of that. And I think the other thing is way more valuable and it'll get you further in life. That's what I think. I think empathy is great.
I agree with you. And I think it helps motivating people. It helps hiring. It helps getting investment and everything. But I could argue that it doesn't work 100% of the time. Some people are sharks, like you said. And if you're not aligned with them, they see it as a weakness, maybe. I don't know.
I agree. What tends to happen to me is that I'm not interested in talking to those people. It's usually it feels very natural because it's like we're not gonna mix well. So maybe just go your own way. It happens to me a lot. Like I didn't like this guy, and that's it.
Thank you very much, and I wish you the best with Argonauts. And have a nice day. Thank you.